We can't hear you. Nope.
Not yet.
Nope.
We can't hear you. Just get Dennis back to.
Huh?
Have to get Dennis back to get the microphone on.
Dennis. Yeah. I know you can hear us. But we can't hear you now. Are we leaving? Is that what she said?
Close it. Nothing yet.
Don't go to sleep.
How about now?
Hey, there we go. Now we can hear
success.
you.
Mazel tov! I don't know what you're doing. Why this mic works every other time except for when you want it or when I try to get you to use it.
No.
Hey.
Anyways, all right, folks. So, thank you for bearing with us on the Tech Gremlin issues. And as I was just saying, I'm bringing you guys on to discuss the Starseed, Star People, Star Children theories. I know they were originally advanced by Brad Steiger, an Iowa author, but you guys are pretty well versed on them. So introduce yourselves and chit chat about it, but I'm going to have you guys do it one at a time.
Go ahead.
My name is Hally, also known as Indigo Moon. I do crystal readings at fairs. I don't really have a office life right now. Too many things going on in my world. And so, yeah, Dennis.
My name is Dennis, and I'm a psychic medium. And I see a lot of individuals who are, I consider to be star children. And we also, in the course of reading at fairs, we come in contact with a number of individuals who have a background as aliens from other galaxies.
Awesome possum. So tell me a little bit about what you look for in your readings when it comes to star children, and actually also tell me your thoughts on the difference between Starseed, Star People, Star Children. Because I do know they fall into separate categories. So what are your thoughts? What are your feelings? What are your experiences with that? And then what do you look for?
Well, a starseed would be somebody like me. My mother was abducted, and I am the product of that. At least I believe that. My father never felt like my father. I look and act completely different from my siblings. I don't really resemble my dad much. Star children are from parental lines of star seeds. What's your opinion on that?
I think I agree with that. I think that star seeds are individuals whose mothers were abducted while they were pregnant, and the genetic line was altered in some fashion, and the mother was allowed to come back to Earth and deliver the child as normally. but that child carries a genetic line that whichever, whether it be Palladians, Arcturians, Andromedans, they want that child to carry that particular genetic traits of that particular race.
Okay.
Star children, I agree. Star children are those individuals. I believe I'm a star child. Never really felt that I belonged to my family of origin. Was always looking up at the stars, wondering, am I going to go back? Where do I belong up there? And I think that in some ways, starseeds come here knowing full well, in many, many ways, what their mission is.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally believe that starseeds come here knowing that their mission is to improve the Earth in some fashion, whether cleaning up nuclear waste, cleaning up the oceans, the rivers, whatever it might be. I think star children have a similar mission, but theirs is a little bit more of a day-to-day thing. How do we change the consciousness of individuals in the community they live in?
Interesting. Okay, so now what about the other side of that theory where it's actually souls being reincarnated through advanced civilizations, advanced alien civilizations, and coming here to help us through our golden age, so to speak, or help us to it? Excuse me. Dark times to golden age.
All souls have incarnated into many, 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 many different forms. We have this lovely little book here.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And yeah, all souls have experienced most of these because we've had infinite numbers of lifetimes to experience these. And because the soul is just being reincarnated into different manifestations, this time it's human, we carry all the knowledge. But like with me, I do come from a direct line of alien when my mother was abducted. But that doesn't mean I don't remember all these things too.
Now,
right?
Here's another question. Now, when I was reading Steiger, it's a long time ago, and I put his book somewhere safe in the house, and that's the age-old chant to never see something again.
Mm-hmm, sure.
When I remember reading it when I was a kid, he said there were actual physical differences that even at that point in time, back in the 70s, they could compare it to a lot of other people, and it would be something specific to Starseed Star people. Do you have any of those? Hally?
Me. So when people meet me, they always say that I look odd to them. Now I'm really short, so I'm Palladian, but I don't carry the height like a Palladian person, right? I'm not blonde like a Palladian. When I see a Palladian person sitting in front of me, they are very tall. They're very thin. They have long arms and legs. They have blonde hair, blue eyes. I don't carry those traits.
No, I meant like a specific blood type, things like that. That's what.
Oh, yeah. So I'm RH negative.
Okay.
Yep. I'm RH negative. And anybody who's RH negative can either be Starseed or Star Child.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously the Star Child is coming from the Starseed. And so you're going to get some of that RH negative blood. Now, as we know, blood types, they don't always work that way. So if you have an alien mom and a non-alien dad, you may be a positive blood type.
Doc.
Yes. I'm not well versed as far as the blood types are concerned. Now, when someone sits down at my table, one of the things that comes to that is I notice first. They may have a little bit of an almond-shaped eye, a long, slender neck. I look at their hands. Are their fingers very long? And so there are certain things that physical traits that I will look at, and I will just simply ask them point blank, when you were a child, did you often feel that you didn't belong to your family of origin? And they'll just kind of look at me like, well, yeah, that's the way I was. And they seem a little bit confused as to what to do in life. Let me take that back. It's not that they're confused about what to do in life. They're confused as to how to get started with their mission. And they always come to people like myself and to Hally, and they're looking for some sort of counseling on where do I go? How do I get started? And for me, that always speaks a star child.
Okay, interesting. So, the original theories, now people have extrapolated on them. They've extrapolated the different kinds of beings coming through via channeling, things like that. Dolores Cannon has had some stuff to say, Edgar Casey, Doreen Virtue. What she had to say was wonderful, but I did not like her lack of a nod to the people that advanced the theory. Have you guys read any of this stuff or heard of it, and what are your thoughts on each one?
I've read
docs Doreen Virtue, don't misunderstand. I just don't like not acknowledging where things come from.
Sure, I get that. I've not read any of Doreen Virtue's, at least her take on Starchildren, Starseeds. Doreen,
she's right on, but still, you know.
Yeah, I have no idea what she talks about. But with Dolores Cannon, I think she was probably way ahead of her time. Mm-hmm. That I think she had a perspective that is certainly worth reading about and studying, because in many of the regressions that she has done or she did over the years, there's without question there are people who remember their lifetimes as a particular galactic race, whether it be Palladian, Arcturian, or whatever. So I think she has certainly has a perspective that's worth investigating.
Okay, interesting. What are your thoughts on Casey's mentions of stuff like the Arcturians, things like that?
Well, I think that for me personally, it's just another individual who is confirming what we see every day when we are talking to people. It's a confirmation that we ourselves feel. Hally's Palladian, I'm Arcturian, and I can't speak for her, but there are times when I'm still being watched by people from Arcturus, and to me, they're just checking up on me. They're checking to make sure I'm on track. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and so there's absolutely no question that Casey and Cannon they knew exactly what's happening here on Earth.
Okay. Now, I've also heard that with Starseeds, Star People, all these things, the awakenings happen one of two ways. It either happens in small flashes or it happens in one great shebang. What are you guys' experience with that? Both your readings, personally, friends, clients, however, what do you think the ratio is? And how would somebody handle that if it were to happen to them? Because, I mean, immediately you think you're going nuts, you know?
So I deal with a lot of suicides in fairs, in my own practice. And I know a lot of Starseeds, Starchildren have a hard time being here. And that I find, and so I find that they awaken very quickly and they don't know what to do with it. The energy was heavy to begin with, always for them. This earth is very heavy. And they have an even harder time after the awakening, and they choose to leave, or they try to leave. I don't find most aliens to awaken slowly. Not right now. Right now they're shebang.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's the hard part. You know, we're not given the opportunity to open slowly like we normally would, with as fast as this earth is changing, with as much timeline as we're going through. They aren't able to open slowly. And they knew that when they came here, but as a soul, it's easy to say, yeah, that'll be fine.
Right.
And then you get here and you're like, oh crap.
No.
What was I thinking? Yeah.
Now, a lot of people say it's a volunteer program, acts of service, that kind of thing. There's a Galactic Federation. I mean, when I hear the words Galactic Federation, it's a nice term, but my inner cynic is like, nobody's helping us out that hardcore. So what are you guys' thoughts on it?
I personally believe that there is a group of alien civilizations, the Palladians, Arcturians, Assyrians, the Andromedans, who, in a very loosely form of a council, they kind of dictate what can and cannot be done to humans by some of the other galactic races who, shall we say, are not so friendly towards human beings. The Greys,
it's like, no, put the cow down. No, don't lick it. There, you know. That kind of thing. Now,
well, I think that it comes down to they don't want these other races, the insectoid, the reptoid races. They don't want them to do any experimentation on us. They don't want them to try to enslave us in any way, whether it be mind control or something of this nature. So I personally believe that there is a group of civilizations who do this, and they all follow the cosmic law of one,
which is
we are all connected. There is no way that we are not disconnected, even though we are human, because Hally's a starseed, I'm a star child. We have that connection with not only other galactic civilizations, but we are connected as one with Source.
Interesting. Now, 2 more questions before I go to Mary's question of, are you taking personal questions? Yes, of course we are. We always take personal questions. But number 1, what would you advise Starseeds, Starchildren, Star people to look for as awakening symptoms? Number 1. Number 2, how do you feel about the constant conflation between the Indigo, Crystal, Rainbow Children theory and the Starseed theory? I feel that they are along the same lines, but they are different.
So I also am an Indigo child. I came here to buck the system. I don't like control. I don't like big government. I don't like rules that are stupid. And that does conflict with my alien side that wants peace and harmony. And the only way we can do that is have rules and regulations, right? I know for me and the awakening, you know, they equate it to the flu. Now I have fibromyalgia.
Okay.
but I have to question if it isn't a constant awakening. Because, right, yeah. And a lot of people I know who are star seeds also have fibromyalgia, or that's what they are diagnosed with. But it's my personal belief that it's your awakening, that it's your, what's the word I want to use? It's your radar.
Extrapolate.
Okay, so
maybe that's a better word. Expound.
When things go on around the world, whether it be political or environmental or anything bad,
Okay.
my body gets more. It's like I have this pre-notification of something that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't always tell you what it is, but like I get a smell for volcanoes and earthquakes.
Right.
Now, they're different smells. I also shake when there's earthquakes coming, a tremor. But my fibromyalgia lends to my gift as well. I just noticed that a lot of star seeds have this.
I was going to say that could also tie right in with you being a psychic. It
can. Mm-hmm. But most star seeds are also psychics.
Interesting. Okay.
So, now whether they choose to use that gift or not is, because they, like me, I grew up in a Catholic family, so I wasn't necessarily allowed the ability to use it. But.
And then how to handle awakening symptoms. That's the other thing. How do you handle it?
It's a hard one because you either do or you don't. You're either strong enough to get through it, and maybe you have people who you talk to who have similar symptoms and you work your way through it. And like I said, right now I know a lot of people who've committed suicide because of those awakenings.
Okay. See, I would advise people to go and actually find a group, and that's part of the reason why I hold these programs and such. Go and try and find a legitimate metaphysical shop, and that's another question I'll ask you guys in a minute. Doc, how would you advise people if they feel like they're going through this awakening, starseed awakening? How would you advise them to cope with it? Some gentle methods, so as we don't have a suicide.
Well, one of the things that it's been my experience, and that is the star children's, not so much the star seeds, they kind of know what's going on. Okay. Star children seem a little more lost, and generally when they come to me for a reading, they're already in the midst of this awakening. And they just simply need some validation that they're not going crazy, that this is not perfectly normal for considering who they are. And if they can accept the fact that this is perfectly normal, get them started in meditation. Once again, go to a local metaphysical store, see if they can find someone who in some ways will mentor them. The more they understand about and many of them, part of the awakening process is becoming more and more intuitive. Mm-hmm. And it's very frightening to them. Some of them, it's very frightening to them. Yeah. They become more empathic, more intuitive, and in some ways, they just need someone to sit them down and say, look, you're not going crazy. This is part of the process of opening up and becoming aware of who you are. And the reality is, because we're star children and we have some of that alien DNA, it becomes activated at different points in our lives. Okay. And they have to come to the acceptance of the fact that they are who they are. They have a mission. And once they realize that and accept it, it becomes an easier situation for them.
The other thing is, how do they figure out what their mission is?
Well, I think that many of them already have an idea. Maybe it is to go into some sort of, let's say, the dharmic path of service, doctors, lawyers, social worker, as something of this nature. Maybe it's creativity. Maybe they want to be fashion designers, or they want to go into music. Whatever it is, as long as they're encouraged to go into what makes their heart sing, go into a field of endeavor that makes their heart sing, that's their mission.
Okay.
That's what they're here to do.
One other question before we get to the metaphysical shop. Now, there is also the theory that there are bad star seeds out there and that they come to spread darkness. Thoughts on that?
Well, I cannot say that I've encountered anyone that way.
Okay.
So I know that a lot of people are theorizing that people in the government especially are a lot of these reptilians, the dinosaurians, the insectoids, those type.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I think they're no different than any other human as far as spreading darkness. Now, I do think that we have, again, we got good aliens coming here, checking on us, making sure we're doing what we're supposed to do, evolving in the way that we're supposed to evolve. And I also think that we've got some bad players too that come here and try to influence. So I don't know.
Well, I think that there are some alien races that, if you will, love to spread chaos, and if they can influence some individuals, some starseeds, star children, that they accomplish their mission, that spreading chaos and constant negativity.
Well, for instance, the kid who just shot Trump, he is reptilian.
So.
And that his mission was to do what he did, and that kind of spreads chaos and doubt and fear, and that's exactly what they are supposed to do. And but he's human, right? So he has the same coding as the rest of us, but he was definitely a star seed, not a star child.
Okay, interesting. Okay, now, how do you guys vet a metaphysical shop? You guys have been in this game a long time. So, when you walk into a metaphysical, new age, crystal shop, what have you, whatever they want to call themselves, how do you make sure it's legit?
When I walk in the door, how do they treat me?
What's the energy like?
What's the energy?
Like the minute you walk in the door.
Yeah.
If it's chaotic, if it's a little bit, if it's a low vibration, it's not the store for me.
Mm-mm.
Hally, expound on how you're treated.
So we went into a new metaphysical shop, not going to say where it was at, but we walked in, we weren't greeted. We weren't asked what we were looking for. When we asked, where this was and that was, kind of met with some resistance. It was almost like we were not wanted there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it could also be crappy help that day, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, So, what is it? The energy of the treatment, yes. What is it? What kind of test can just your regular layperson do, in your opinion?
I think one of the first things to do is start asking questions. What is this crystal for?
Mm-hmm.
What is this wand used for? How do I use magic? what's their opinion on certain metaphysical issues.
And I want a crystal store that knows both light and dark. I'm sorry, I do, because what if I have an issue that requires a little bit more finesse than what a light worker can do?
Expand on that, Hally.
So let's say I have a really evil demon in my house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I need someone who's a little bit stronger than just a Reiki master.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know that they can provide that, or at least offer help elsewhere. And so a store that's really balanced, like Charlie's store here in town, in Omaha, he's really balanced, right? He's got light workers, but he's also got dark workers. And I appreciate that, you know?
Well, nowadays it's getting to the point where you have to keep somebody on staff that knows reversal stuff and things like that. Just because being slung back and forth, it's getting ridiculous. And from everything I hear, it's all over. It's not just confined to one state or region. So I don't know. How is it for you guys out there? Hello? We have frozenness. By the way, Mary, yes, please ask your personal questions. And thank you for joining us. Hey guys, you froze. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, Mary, alrighty. Let me see here. Hally. She's probably over with her. Here we go. Guessing at Hally's. Boom. Okay, guys. Sorry about that. Here we go. Tech gremlins are enduring. Yeesh. Okay. Hi, guys. Welcome back.
Hello.
Mary Palkowitz says, my husband Stephen has been out of work since June 7th. Will he find something soon? Either one or both, whichever.
I think it's going to be closer to the end of September, early October.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Sometime in September.
Middle of September, middle of October.
Okay. Oh, I've got a client who was just laid off. When are they going to pick up a new job?
Where or when?
When?
Man, I don't think until.
Yeah, I think it may be closer to the end of the year before they go back to work. I'm not altogether sure they want to go back anytime soon.
This feels like a personal blockage. Maybe they just need some time for themselves. Okay. And I would honor that.
Okay. They're not really in a financial position to honor it, though.
I know, but man.
I just don't get that they're in a huge hurry at the moment. But I think that it'll be towards the end of the year.
Okay.
Somewhere between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
I will relay that to them. Mary Palkowitz, thank you very much. Awesome.
You're welcome.
So, Hally, can you guys access the private chat on here so I can copy paste your book recommendations?
Let's see.
I'm going to mute mine while I'm typing out the Brad Steiger.
Oh, yeah.
I better check YouTube. Hold on, guys.
Okay.
My channel. Lives. Nope. We're good. We are on.
Okay.
Sorry, the YouTube is showing up kind of funky. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. Copy. Now, are there any other books that you would recommend on this subject for people?
I know you got a bunch of them upstairs.
Well, I think any of the books by Brad Steiger
Yeah.
is a good way to get started. I think it's the names of the books. Star People
Star
is
People,
one.
Gods of Aquarius. Any others?
Gods of Aquarius. If they might be a little expensive because they're out of print. But I think that those are an excellent way to get started and understanding. If you suspect that you may be a part alien, this is excellent books to help you kind of figure things out.
Okay. Now, I'm going to circle back around. Hally, I know you said, yeah, it's the Akashic Records and all this fun stuff, but I do believe it is a separate issue when souls actually incarnate from different worlds that have had a lot of time in those worlds and they come here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you have the Akashic Records. Yes, you have the spiritual planes. Yes, you have the psychic gifts. But I have had some clients that are directly, they're an alien soul walking around in a human body, and it's really hard for them to get adjusted. Doc, Hally, each one, how would you advise them? How would you help them? Yeah, you got a bunch of different alien races they could have incarnated from, probably a lot we don't even know about. But I guess maybe a general help tips, how-tos, something to give them some help.
I know it sounds simplistic, but it's kind of like an ET phone home. Take the time to go into meditation and send a message to if you're whatever galactic race you happen to be from, just send a message. Ask them to reveal themselves to you. Ask them to help you understand what your mission is and what the reason for being in a human body in this particular incarnation.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They do have a hard time meditating, so they would need some help, tips, tricks on how to meditate and the best way for them to meditate. I know a lot of the alien species static is really good. You put on white noise because it's the sound of their spaceships. But it's hard for some of these people because you can't just go find a therapist.
No.
You can't just go find a therapist. Now you're crazy and you get thrown in the loony bin.
That's actually one
yeah.
thing Brenda and I talk about on a regular basis. Matt, he couldn't be on tonight. A lot of people called off tonight. Everybody's having it rough. But we always say the person that would get the most business in the supernatural world, alien stuff, paranormal, anything, are the therapists that actually go in and help with the aftercare. Of course, they'd only be paid in hugs because most of us are broke, but they would be.
But that's who we see at fairs.
Yeah.
That's who we see at fairs. That's who our clients are afterward. We are therapists.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important. It's important for people who feel like they're alien, or they just had an alien incarnation. it's almost like having some sort of a disease, and you go to doctor after doctor, clinic after clinic, hospital, and they don't know what it is. And finally somebody says, oh, listen, I just had a patient like this and it's XYZ. And all of a sudden now it's not that particular disease is manageable.
Yeah.
And once they come to the realization that and acceptance that they have, they just had an alien incarnation before coming to Earth, it's easier for them to deal with it. It's easier for them to say, "Now I get it. It makes perfect sense." Now they understand why in their dreams they've been meeting people who look odd or too tall, or for whatever reason, or they speak a different language no one has ever heard, or perhaps they speak a thought language. And now, instead of these people coming to Earth and checking on them in dreams, they can start coming physically, and they start manifesting that way. So I think for a lot of it, it's just a matter of accepting who you are.
But that can be really tough, especially when you don't have anybody around you to say, no, seriously, it's okay. You're not nuts, you know?
Yeah. And that's kind of like with Hally and me. People come back repeatedly because they have more questions. Yeah. What about this? What about that? How do I deal with this? And so we become that that one person that they can unload on because they don't understand things. Mm-hmm. So we just have to be there. And as I say, Hally and I and you and so many others, we are the vanguard. We are the ones who are helping these Starseeds and Starchildren accomplish their mission, get started and accomplish their missions. We come into this in particular incarnation to enable them to fulfill their work. So what we do is most important because they come back to us time and time again to not only check in, but to make sure that they're on their path.
Okay. I like the idea. That's an interesting take on it. Another question. Starseed, or the ones that are the alien soul with a lot of experience as an alien and very little here as a human, have you found that they have any odd physical symptoms? Basically stuff bleeding through into their physical form.
I'm trying to think.
I think some weight issues.
Yeah, they have a lot of weight.
They feel heavy. It's almost like if they were to run a sprint, it would take them 5 minutes to run a 100-yard dash, or 10 minutes.
I have that. I have a hard time running. Mm-hmm.
The Earth life its physical body is extremely heavy to them. Breathing issues. Mm-hmm. I would say migraines, double vision, or being dizzy all the time.
Speech impediments too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, they'll have a lisp, or they won't talk as children for a really long time. I have a child like that. They will sometimes lose their words. And even though English is their first language, they'll lose their words because they think everybody can just hear them talking.
Yeah.
And I do that all the time. I'm like, I thought I said it out loud.
And I think that's kind of important because they don't know how to put into words not just how they feel, but they have a hard time conceptualizing in a spoken language. They can think it.
No, I was going to say, I think you may be right. You may be right on the money there. Now I'm going to ask an interesting question, and this is by no means to be offensive. I don't want anyone to get offended. By the way, for the last week, everybody's been offended over everything. So I don't want anyone to get offended in my audience.
I don't easily offend.
Thank God I'm sitting. Thank God I'm sitting down.
That's why I like you guys. Anyways, what do you think about, and it's a little controversial, but what do you think about the Starseed, Starchild, Star Soul, if you want to call it that, and the link with autism?
Oh yeah, I'm autistic.
Really?
Yeah. So is my oldest son, and he is a star child because he comes from me as a star seed. And so is my middle, although she's like me. You would never know unless you spent a lot of time around her that she is also autistic. But yeah, there's a direct link between autism and the star seed, star soul, star children. Mm-hmm.
What do you think it is? What are your thoughts on it? What are your theories, both of you? I'm very curious to know.
So autism is a interruption of information. And I think we come here with such big energy that it kind of fritzes out the body a little bit.
See, I've been around a lot of, oddly enough, I've been around a lot of kids. I was constantly tripping over them in my 20s, then in my 30s, and then I had one. Autism, ADD, OCD, all of the disorders. And I'm like, what is going on? Because they were just crowding. You know, I'm like, what's going on here? You know, but that's when I kind of developed the theory that they're not speaking. They're not understanding. They're speaking a different language, and we just don't have a Rosetta Stone for it. It is quite literally a completely different way of looking at things. Did you guys ever watch the old Star Trek?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You remember the race that spoke entirely in their culture's metaphors? Shaka and the walls fell?
Yeah, kind of.
Kinda.
You know, both Kirk and Picard both had run-ins with them. And they're just like, what the hell? And the race is like, Shaka and the walls fell. And they're like, what? Now, if you were from that culture and spoke that language and knew the cultural significance of the metaphors, you would have been fine. And that's really what it always felt like. Shaka and the walls fell.
I also think this is a personal design by the alien races because these people are so smart, so smart. And unfortunately, for some of them, we're not ready for that yet. We're just not for what some of this information. And so they kind of put them into a body that is dysfunctional.
That's mean.
Well, I don't mean it to be mean. I'm dysfunctional.
That's mean of the aliens. It's like, dang.
Oh, mean of the aliens. Well, yes and no. It saves the soul. It saves them from all of this responsibility. We come here with a lot of information, and sometimes the populace is not ready for it. Sometimes we're not ready for it. Okay. And so it saves us, like my son, you know, he's a highly functioning autistic, but he's super smart. Oh my God, this kid's super smart. He could be a hacker for the government in no time flat. But is the government ready for him? I don't think they are.
No.
So they do this to themselves so they don't have responsibilities, right? They can't go out into the world on their own.
Wouldn't that be in a direct clash with having a mission, though?
No, not at all. They're still going to do what they need to do, what they want to experience. Remember, they have free will just like everybody else. Okay. And if they choose not to do what it is that they came here to do or participate, that's okay too. Somebody else will pick up the baton. It's like the Olympics and the baton races, you know, somebody else is going to pick it up. We never have to worry about something not happening.
Okay. Interesting.
But I think it is by design. I really do think it's by design from the aliens. And they're more compassionate, right? They have bigger hearts. They are more unconditional loving.
And they're actually a lot more patient from what I've seen, or at least from the ones I've tripped across.
Right. And the older they get, the more they grow. And so there is something to be said about, and maybe part of our lessons is that we're not supposed to do everything, right? We can't do everything. And so we purposely come here to teach ourselves that, because as an alien race, they're very smart. They can do all things. Some of them have, well, we're going to call it magic that we don't have, because they have, what's the word I'm looking for? They have machines that we don't have, and things that we don't have, technology. That's what I'm looking for, the word technology.
God, aren't we going to be disappointed when we get out there and they're just like, no, that one went in backwards?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Phil went in backwards.
It's like Superman's, fortress.
Mm-hmm.
He had the magic crystals, right? And he put them in different spaces and he could create things. And I think that, aliens are very much like that. They have technology that we just don't have yet. And I think it is very simple. I actually think it's very, very simple, like his crystals. Yeah. We just are not ready for it yet.
I always thought that made perfect sense, and I didn't know why we didn't start heading toward that tech. But at the same time, I also realized technology like that right now would be a very, very bad thing.
It would.
Could be.
It could be.
It could very well be. And I think that, personally, I think that some of the people, the star children with ADHD or any kind of learning disability, if they came into an earth form immediately after having an incarnation as an alien, part of the problem is they're still remembering how aliens communicated, and they still expected to be able to do it in a human form, and we don't know how to do that yet.
Yeah.
Well, my daughter gets mad at me because we'll play hangman in the car. Mm-hmm. And I'll get the word right away. And she's like, Mom, will you stop reading my mind? I'm like, I'm sorry.
No, that is cool, though. Okay, so here's another question. Here's one. How to raise star babies? The babies that come out, and the ones that come out of parents that have no clue. There is no connection to anything. How do you do it? Tips, tricks, tips for the kids, tips for the parents.
That is the same analogy as, and I'm gonna use this, and I don't mean it to sound rude to anybody, but that is taking two straight parents that's raising a gay kid. How do you do that? With compassion, right?
I was going to say, it'd be a lot easier to raise a gay kid than an alien kid.
No, not necessarily. Not for those parents who are straight. They're Catholic, right? They have very strong morals on this, very strong thoughts on this. I don't think it's any different. That kid is going to feel alone. And they're going to feel separate. I know I did. I mean, my mom, I always felt separate from my parents. I felt different. I had to hide everything from them. And it wasn't until I was in my late 30s that I started being comfortable with who I was. And it was very much, okay, my daughter is gay, okay? Mm-hmm. And she didn't come out to me until a couple of years ago. But had I been her, in my position as a kid, which I was, and that's why I equate it to the same thing. Do you come out to your parents if you're not comfortable? Absolutely not.
No, I suppose not.
So I think as parents, if you know about this, but most parents are going to put blinders on, just like they do with gay kids, trans kids, doesn't matter who they are, right? They're going to put blinders on. So how, as a kid, you have to ask the question, as a kid, how do you deal with it? Because you have to be able to get yourself help. You have to be able to be okay with yourself. You are the one that has to take responsibility. And I hate to say that, but it is the same issue. And I have a lot of kids sitting at my table whose parents, grandparents have brought them, but mom and dad know nothing about them.
Jesus. So tips for parents who want to learn but don't know how. Tips for kids. 1, how do you figure out if your kid might have a little bit more alien in them, whether it's in their soul or their DNA or whatever? How do you figure it out? And then as parents, how can you help? And as kids, what the heck do you do with that?
Well, I think the very first thing is to pay attention to how the kid learns.
Mm-hmm.
If the kid seems to be a little precocious, learns very rapidly, that's one sign. Usually they're going to be rather intuitive. And if one or both parents is intuitive, it's important for them to develop hone their intuition right along with the kid, because if they don't, that kid is going to overtake them. The kid will start, I think the kid will start talking early. It will start talking about things that it can't possibly know, maybe relatives that have crossed over. That doorway is still open. It may talk about spaceships. It may talk about strange people that came and visited them while they were sleeping.
And I would encourage them to talk about that and write it down. Write these things down.
The parents need to be open and accepting of that. It's not that their child is developing some sort of emotional or mental issue. They just simply need to be open to the fact that it's very possible that the child is simply remembering a lifetime in an alien form.
Okay. Now, what if the kid is not talkative? Kid's doing stuff, but they're not talkative. But you're looking at this little kid going, all right, no. That is not age appropriate. Something's off with you.
Well, I mean, let's say we have a kid who likes computers a lot and understands it. My son, for instance, he understood computers at a very, very young age. And that's all he's ever wanted to do was be on a computer. And like I said, he's a hacker. And I've given him several broken computers that blue screened and everything, and he's returned them to me within 15 minutes, working fully fine. And he did this when he was 7.
Okay, if he ever gets bored, tell him to hack in and delete all the credit scores.
I know, right?
All the mortgages and all the debt and everything. If he gets bored,
I keep telling him, go to work for the government. Hack for the government, hack legally. It'd be great.
Okay.
Well, I think that one of the things that parents should look out for is what when the child is drawing or coloring,
mm-hmm.
what shapes are they? Are they drawing mom and dad in the house, or are they drawing the stars? Are they drawing pictures of people that are rather different, that might be considered alien? So
are mom and dad real people, or are mom and dad the aliens that they just came from?
And so it's going to manifest. If it doesn't manifest verbally, it's going to manifest in some fashion.
Now, what I will say, though, is this, because any star seed, their people will come and get them every now and again. That's just an automatic. And you hear stories about mom and dad going into a room and the child not being there. Mm-hmm. And they are looking around the house and this and that, and they can't find them, and they go back in the room and they're there. Oh yeah, they got taken.
horrifying for a parent. God.
I know.
Oh yeah.
I know. But they will then tell stories, about that trip. Not for very long because they can't remember for very long. But they will tell stories. They will have dreams. They may wake up in the middle of the night and be scared. I did that a lot of times as a kid. Now I kind of remember talking about this now. I would wake up in the middle of the night and be scared because I wasn't at home. And I thought that I was sleepwalking.
Mm-hmm.
And no, it's just that the alien didn't drop me off in my room.
God.
Yeah, I was outside.
You missed. You had one job.
I know one job. Put me back in my room.
For the longest time, when people would ask me, "Have you ever been abducted?" and I'd say, "No, I've never been abducted," because I told them that I would never allow them to do any kind of medical experiments on me. And finally, someone said, "Well, if you weren't abducted, why were you telling the aliens you can't experiment on me?" And I thought about it, and I have a memory. I was about 7 years old, and a very tall man, looked very human-like, asked me if I want to take a trip. "I'm going to show you where you came from." And I remember walking up a ramp and getting into a ship that was circular. And whether or not we actually left Earth, I do not know. But he showed me a control panel, and he pointed to star systems and said, "This is where you're originally from." And I remember getting a little bit concerned because I was 7 years old or 6 years old, and I was, well, my mom and dad told me not to hang around strangers.
Right.
And so I said, I have to go home now. And next thing I know, I'm walking down the ramp and I wake up next day. So they will have experiences, not necessarily being abducted, but being given the opportunity to take a trip, to go somewhere else, to see where they may have their true origins.
I'm going to toss you out a case. I know the little girl pretty well. She's long since grown up and all that moved on. Won't mention her name though. She didn't talk for the longest time. Then her mom caught her crouched down in her pull-up, just completely still, staring at a line of ants. Her mom's like, what are you doing? Little girl looks back up at her. Perfect speech. "I'm talking to the ants, Mom." Whenever the mom took her around different family kids that were really rowdy and stuff, the little girl was just, she just would not engage. She's like, what are they doing? No, goodbye. Different stuff like that. A little bit of an oddball, but in a good way. Real good kid, good-hearted, all that stuff, lived in her head a lot. Thoughts on that?
My thought is that she may very well be a star child who at this particular time in her life, the only way she knows how to be a part of human life at the moment is to kind of be withdrawn and just observe and see and learn.
Also, interestingly enough, she came from two parents that the doctors told explicitly they could not have kids. She was completed.
Oh, yeah, she's a star child or a starseed probably.
Yeah, probably Starseed.
Yeah, Starseed. Yeah.
She has had her own child since. And that kid's come out with some interesting stuff, but
I also get that she didn't come from her mom's egg, but she did come from her father's sperm. So took dad's sperm and somebody else's egg implanted in mom.
Oh wow, that's just a violation on a whole nother level. Dang.
Yeah, very true. However, I think her child is a starseed as well.
Yeah, yeah. So I think she was taken back.
Mhm. They
Used her egg, but
manipulated
has
the
manipulated.
DNA.
Yeah.
Interesting. That'd be wild if that worked out.
But I guarantee you, she's more like her dad than her mom.
Interesting.
And in the people that I have talked to or given readings to, this is a galactic family line of star seeds, one after one generation after another, after another, after another. And the people will say without question, everybody in our family, we see the world differently. We perceive it differently. We're considered to be a little bit odd. But it's one generation after another of star seeds. And depending on who it is, whether they're Palladian or Syrian or whatever, there's purpose in doing that, in keeping a line of genetic information, because at some point in time, each one of those star seeds imparts knowledge that can make a difference either to people around them or on their job or something of this nature.
Interesting. Okay. Christina from YouTube. Hi, everyone. I just tuned in. What's going on? Hey, Christina, we're talking about starseeds, star people, star children, and kind of how to diagnose if you are one, if you have one, what's going on with that, what it means. Oh, how do you diagnose which race you're from? If you're from one of the ones that have been channeled.
That one's a hard one.
That's a little more difficult.
Yeah. You know, I always tell people to go to this book, start reading it. And for my clients, I'll just flip it open, right? And start reading it to them and be like, oh yeah, that sounds great, you know? But they're also going to resonate with a half a dozen more other ones in there.
And I think that they resonate simply because even though they come from different star systems, they consider themselves all one family.
Interesting.
And that's that cosmic law of one. We're all one family. And, you know, it's like being Italian or Spanish or Canadian or English or something of this nature. You're different ethnicities, but we're all humans.
Interesting.
If that makes sense to you.
Yep. Barbie Bush. Hello. Hi, Barbie. I'm glad you could tune in. Christina, what does it mean? So starseeds, star people, star children. Can you give Christina a brief rundown of what all that means?
Go ahead.
Okay. Star seeds are people whose moms usually have been abducted and implanted with a child. And then they come back, have the child. The child looks very human, acts human, for all intents and purposes is human. But you have the half DNA of an actual alien. Star children are the product of humans that don't have any interaction with another alien. So mom, dad, Earth, you're human. But you got the traits from your mom, because she's the alien. So now you're a quarter.
Yeah.
You're a quarter alien now.
So a star child is probably the product of a mother who is a star seed.
Yes.
Okay.
But again, not always.
Not always.
Not always.
Most generally.
Most generally.
Okay. Christina, interesting. Sweet. And then you also have the ones that actually come in they incarnate from multiple alien race lifetimes. Star souls, I guess you'd call them.
Star souls, yeah.
And they come in, they incarnate as humans, and they're like, I don't know what's going on here, but I got way too drunk on the last spaceship ride.
Yeah.
And now,
They're
what the hell?
actually the most lost, the star souls, the ones that have never incarnated into anything other than what they are. So if you're Palladian, you've always been Palladian. Maybe you came here during Atlantis or Lemuria, right? But otherwise, you've never incarnated here. They are the most lost.
Okay.
They tend to be really depressed. They usually have a very clear purpose, though. They're environmentally, they're the philanthropists. They are, they're usually just people like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And almost to a person, they'll say, well, while we're giving the reading, I hope I don't have to come back here again.
Oh my God. It's like,
I don't have to come back.
Yeah, they're like, please tell me it's my last time here because I never want to be back here again.
But you know, one of the things that's important for us to understand that as souls, we don't always reincarnate to Earth.
right.
Earth is difficult. This is the University of Earth. It's damned hard. So we take a break. As souls, we take a break. We go back to where we came from. It's easier. It's an easier life. But when it's time to start learning our lessons, then we come back to Earth because this is the premier.
Well, but we also come here when there's times of peril, like now.
Yeah.
You know, that's what
That's
we're
why
here
we
for.
see so many
We bring
Starchildren.
hope. We bring joy. We bring, exuberance. We have, we have things to give. And the best thing about aliens is our capacity to love something else other than ourselves.
I'd heard somebody lately, and I can't tell you who it is because I don't remember. This guy, he said it's Academy or University Earth, and basically what it is we are all learning to be angels. We are all actually angels, but we're all learning to be what we are. Instead of being victims and everything like that, sometimes you need an angel to help you out, and then you, as the victim, transform into that helping angel. Thoughts? Oh, and Christina, ha ha ha. Yes, Christina, we are quite funny.
So I always tell my clients that every one of us is born as a kindergartner. And as you progress your soul, you reach the highest ascension, which is that angel form. The angel is the highest next to the creator. Nice. And we have to rise up to that, and we are learning how to be that angel.
I always tell people we are, each and every one of us, fully actualized individuals. But we are on a very special and beautiful trip to journey to remember our spiritual roots.
Nice.
We're already fully, we are angels already, but we've forgotten it the moment we came here on Earth. The moment we plopped out and said, here I am, I'm hungry and I want a warm place to stay.
Yeah, right.
We forgot. We forget.
It's a good thing babies are cute.
Well, we can also look at it like this too. All of us are humans, right?
Mm-hmm.
We hope.
We're all human, but are we all on the same level? No, we're not. Some of us are criminals, and some of us are doctors and lawyers, and there's a whole lot of people in between. But we're not. We can learn, right? We can educate ourselves to become a doctor or a lawyer,
right? Or
we can do really bad things and get thrown in prison. It's up to you. It's your choice. And our souls have that same option.
As a medium, we can also do bad things and not get caught and not go to prison, right?
Hey. We don't talk about those things.
I didn't hear that.
Okay, Christina, lols. Okay, thank you, Christina. Okay. So, I mean, oh, and other thing, how much do you guys know about the Indigo Children, Indigo Children, Crystal Children, Rainbow Children, that sort of stuff, theories, and would you be willing to do a short program on it?
I personally don't know a whole lot about it.
I am an indigo child. I'm raising a crystal child, but I can't say I am a expert.
Okay.
I'm more than happy to lend my voice, but
No, because I was going to say that's one thing that there's a lot of confusion on the Star People stuff, the Indigo Children stuff. I mean, a lot of people use the terms as umbrella terms or as just catchphrases, trends, like a attention getter sentence, and they don't actually understand what they're using it for. And I would love to bring somebody on who has a bit more specialty in this. Yes, I know. Well, I'd rather somebody else talk about it.
I think for me, when we look at the indigo through the crystalline children, and now I think that there is a new generation, a new group coming in. I personally call them rainbows, and has nothing to do with the LGBTQ. They're the ones they're bridging a new gap in understanding and the world around them. But if you look at that trend, the Starseeds Starchildren, their path, the trend is running parallel. They're running parallel with each other, and often they'll cross, but then they go parallel again, and then pretty soon they'll cross because a number of crystalline children, another number of indigos, and what's the one in indigos?
It's indigo, crystalline, rainbow. And rainbow's different for me, though. Rainbow children to me are children that were stillborn or aborted, and they choose to come back through the same mother.
Right. No, that's a different kind of rainbow baby that I'm talking about. That's
yeah.
But it's not uncommon for an indigo or a crystalline to have a star child, to actually be a starseed, and then in turn have a star child. So the paths they run parallel, but then they'll cross. Run parallel, then they'll cross.
Yeah, because to me it's just an energy that we have. The indigo and the crystalline is just an energy that we come into, and I think for me it has to do with where your planets lie and what it is that you came here to do and come here to learn. Like I said, I'm an indigo child, so I am going to buck the system. I don't play well with others. I really don't. I tend to not like rules, especially if they're dumb. I advocate for small government. I do all of this, right? And it's just an energy. It's the time frame that I was born in, and a lot of kids my age, Gen X, we came here to do that.
Now, there's another one out, and I've heard about it a lot. I know a high priestess here. She was trying to write an article about it. She calls it Blu-ray, that Blu-ray energy, and it's not a DVD, but it's actually another phase past indigo and crystal. I think it's before you get to rainbow.
I have not heard of it.
I've not heard of that. I'm not familiar with that one at all. I think that there are probably little groups in between the major groups that have manifested. But when we look at trends, it's the indigos, crystalline, and what I call the rainbow.
So how do you know if your kid's an indigo or if you're an indigo? How do you know if you've got a crystal? How do you know if you have a rainbow?
Ask them.
So the indigos are really easy to tell. They are obstinate. They're stubborn. They very much have a mind of their own. They are independent at a very young age. And it's not usually through circumstances, because they want to be independent. They don't need your daughter, Shannon, is an indigo child.
Christina, I think that hit home. Okay.
The crystalline are very sensitive kids. They can feel energy of the planet. They, especially because the whole planet's crystal, they want to be here. Crystal people want to be here. They like being here. They're very well grounded. They are the opposite of indigos. They like rules. They like being told what to do. They tend to be followers and not leaders.
And one of the things about crystallines that I have found is that they do well in school, but they're generally bored with school, and that's because they're always a chapter ahead of the teacher.
Okay.
They will often ask questions about things that, or have an opinion about things that's way above their particular age group. They may have an opinion about religion or politics or government or something in the family, but their understanding is way ahead of their age.
Okay. Now, which ones are the ones that just go, I'm not going to buck the system, but I am going to go off and do my own thing. I have no time for you. Peace be unto you. I must go.
So that would be more of an indigo.
There's no anger. There's no.
No, we're not angry. No, we're not angry. We're never angry. We're just like, yeah, peace out, dude.
Yeah.
We're gone. Yeah.
Well, I think we have to keep in mind the indigos and the crystalline. It's not indigos begin and they automatically stop. Yeah. There's an overlap. There's some kids that kind of still have a little bit of that rebel in them, but yet they're willing to deal with rules like a crystalline, provided they're not oppressive.
Well, and then, like with me, I have the gypsy side, and that is very much gypsy. Peace out, I'm out. You can just do your own thing. I'm going to go over here. And so we've got that energy too, and that's an earth energy, right? That's not necessarily something that came from the stars or, it's here.
Yeah. And we have to keep in mind, regardless of whether you're Palladian, Andromedan, Syrian, we're still human.
Yeah, we're still human.
And we still have to go through the human experience.
Rainbow children, not the children that passed away and reincarnated with the same mother, but rainbow children. Question: what do you find they are like? Doc, you seem to have quite a bit of experience with them.
Well, I think that they're very quick-minded. Okay. They how do I put this?
They're problem solvers.
Yeah, they're problem solvers, but they're also it's almost like sometimes you sit down and talk to them and you feel like you talk to somebody who's got a PhD. And it's like, where did you get this kind of wisdom? There is a certain wisdom about them that at the whatever age they happen to be, they shouldn't have.
I personally think the rainbow kids are the oldest souls in the universe.
It should be. That
come here almost as, it's like, yes, they have all this knowledge and it's packed in this little bundle. But they to me feel very innocent.
Right.
Like they have zero experience, just all this knowledge.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Christina says, interesting. Okay. So indigo versus crystal versus rainbow. How would a parent deal with each one? Let's just say they're run-of-the-mill parents, and they just want to know their kid better. And then well, I don't know. These kids pretty much have their stuff on lock, but how would the parents deal with it? What advice would you give to each set of kid? And what advice would you give to the parents in dealing with these children?
Well,
Passion.
It's been my experience. If you've got an indigo, crystalline, or rainbow, you're not an ordinary run-of-the-mill parent.
Yeah.
You've got some things going on intuitively, and it's time for you to, for those parents to embrace who they are, embrace who their children are, and step up their game, because if they don't, that kid's going to be way ahead of them.
Well, they are way ahead of them. I think that's the whole point.
Yeah.
And with any parent, you assess each child and you act accordingly. You know, my crystalline, whew, I have to treat her way different than the other two. And she's my challenge kid. It's not my autistic kid. It's my daughter. It's my middle kid. It's the crystalline kid who's my most challenging.
Why?
I think because we have, as much as we clash. You know, she is the strong-headed, and of course she's a Taurus too, so she's got that bull energy, very planted. I'm air, right? I'm floating around all the time. I'm like, woo, I'm gonna go over here. Woo, I'm gonna over. She gets mad.
Hey, Hally, I thought you were a Sag. What are you, babe?
I'm a Gemini.
Oh my gosh, you're a Gemini. Okay.
I'm a Gemini.
Oh, wow. You don't
Yeah.
talk as much as a normal Gemini.
I don't. Oh.
Oh, you're throwing me off.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think one of the things that I tell people, the parents of crystallines in particular, because we're not seeing too many of the rainbow yet. We're seeing more of them, but the crystallines we see a lot. And I tell the parents, this is what you're going to deal with. You're going to tell the child to go over, and it's the end of the evening, pick up your toys, your shoes, clean up your room, put things away. And they're going to kind of lean over and look down the hallway at your room, go, well, when are you going to do the same thing? Clean up your room. They believe in that fairness. Don't ask me to do something that you're not willing to do as well.
Yep.
They're starting to bring out that concept that we're one.
And see, I love that. Simply because it's kind of the same way in my house. It's like, no, I'm not going to ask you to do something I ain't going to do. I got to lead by example. If I go to the store and I get a treat for myself, there better be enough money to get a treat for baby butt. Because that's just how it is. You know, you cannot make those rules and separations, at least for me.
Yeah, I rule with an iron fist, so. I do.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? Yeah, okay.
I'm not one about fairness, because the world is not fair, and you have to learn early that everything is not fair. And my daughter hates that.
I was going to say, every day we learn about unfairness. I would rather teach anybody that I'm with, or actually example. I would rather be an example of fairness as much as I can. That way they know when they go out there, hey, this is how it's supposed to be. You guys are wrong. I'm right. So whatevs. Bye.
Well, my daughter always thinks everything is unfair. I'll give you an example. I left my son with a whole bunch of food this weekend because he was going to be pretty much on his own, and his brother and sister were going to be off working, and she was going to go with friends. And she came home and she discovered all this food that was for just him. And whoo, man, apparently she was really mad.
Well, she's a Taurus.
Yeah, I know. She's a Taurus.
Let her have some of that food, dude. Yeah, no. Food is a bad issue. I can tell you from experience.
It's not just me, saying, hey, things are not fair. It's her going, hey, I don't feel like you're treating me fairly here, so.
Advice.
23.
Okay.
Advice for parents of rainbow kids and indigo kids.
So rainbow kids, would you agree with me? They're probably the most sensitive.
I think so. Yeah.
So you have to be really kind to rainbow kids. They don't do well with discipline, like harsh discipline. They don't want to, a look is enough to them. They don't like disappointing you. So harsh words, harsh punishments, not a good thing for a rainbow kid.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I have experienced, it a good number of rainbow children come from parents who are probably crystalline.
Interesting.
And so they kind of know, they sense. It's that they take one look at their child and they already automatically know.
Like, all right.
Feeling that this is what's going on with them, and they know how to adjust the tone of their voice or what question to ask. So I think that I can't say that I've had a lot of experience with rainbow children themselves, but more so the parents of rainbows.
Wouldn't you say Eli is a rainbow?
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, my youngest is a rainbow if I had to classify him.
Okay. Now, parents of indigos.
Oh,
get drunk.
Yeah, get drunk. Yeah, you're in for a wild ride. My parents, I drove my parents nuts. Because I never asked for anything. I was born with the cord wrapped around my neck and I was purple. They had to bring me back. Dang. So because of that trauma, that's where they think that I got the fibromyalgia. Now, my theory is fibromyalgia is a symptom of being a star child, starseed. Mm-hmm. So, but I didn't need parents. I know that sounds bad, but I didn't want to be picked up. I didn't want them to play with me. They left me alone on the floor with my toys. They tell me this, and they said the minute they picked me up, I screamed. They'd sit me back down. I was fine. I was very independent, but I don't like rules, right? So the rules they imposed on me, like any kid growing up, I very much was a rebellious kid. They would say I was probably one of the worst teenagers ever, but really what it came down to is I was just too independent.
So I guess both of you guys, what would you have wanted your parents to do? I mean, Hally, you know yourself. You know what you should have been able to get away with, what you shouldn't have been able to, and what they shouldn't have done in hindsight, because hindsight's 2020. So if you could go back, if you could be a voice in their ear, what would you say?
Trust your kid. Trust. And that is one word, trust. For an indigo, that is the biggest thing, is trust.
Even after you set the couch on fire.
If the kid is irresponsible, now most indigos are not. We are very responsible people. We tend to have a high Jiminy Cricket in our head. What is good, what is wrong. And we tend to follow the good, even when we see bad. I remember going to a bonfire one time, and there was alcohol served, and I was underage, and I asked to be taken home because there was alcohol there. Mm-hmm. And so I had a very strong right-wrong thought process. And most indigos that I know also are like that. And all we want is trust. All we want is to, have people around us put their trust in us and know that we are doing the right thing.
Okay.
So if I had one word for a parent, it would be like, trust your kid, unless they prove themselves to not be trustworthy.
Okay.
And then the indigo does understand why the rules are being imposed.
I did. You're done messed up. We're done here.
I had done messed up, and we own it. That's the thing. We own it. I snuck out of my parents' house all summer one time, and I got busted because a friend of mine. And I owned it. I was like, yep, you know what, Mom? But I've been doing this all summer, so why are you punishing me now?
Hustler! No, don't say that.
Yeah, it was great.
You were grounded before, but now
No, you know what? She actually did not ground me.
Really? That's awesome.
No, she did not ground because I was honest with her and I told her exactly what I was doing. And technically, I wasn't off the property. I said, how can you ground me when I wasn't even off the property? Your rule is to stay on the property. I did.
That's true. Still. Christina.
Indigo, I'll tell you one thing. Indigos make very good lawyers, debaters, politicians. Yes, we do. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Now, Doc, Hally said you had an indigo kid. Is that correct?
Yeah, my oldest daughter is probably an indigo.
Okay. What'd you do? How'd you handle it?
Well, fortunately for me,
outside of alcohol,
the mother and I divorced when she was young, and so she was raised in a different city. She had a stepfather, and still has a stepfather. So about the only time I had a hand, I guess you would say, in raising her is when I'd get a phone call and say, your daughter did this or your daughter did that.
Okay.
And so we discuss it, and then I'd have a long talk with her. It was my weekend to have the kids. So I can't say that I had a lot of direct influence. I think, I take it back. I think I did have some influence, but I didn't have any direct action in terms of raising her.
Okay.
But I didn't know anything about indigos at the time.
Yeah, she was just an obstinate kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and what the other thing that I would say with parents is when your child starts to show some signs of intuition, help them, start guiding them. If they talk about the stars, if they talk about, did I come from another place, or I remember doing this, or I remember being this, start guiding them. Back when I was a young teenager, I knew nothing about star children. Nothing was said about star seeds and so on and so forth. But my father was very intrigued by anything paranormal and metaphysical, and he was constantly handing me a book. Here, read this, read that. He was the one who introduced me to Brad Steiger.
Nice.
So the more you can encourage your child and kind of guide them, if you will, that's probably the best thing that you can do for them, and trust them.
My dad and my mom split when I was little, but mom was heavy into this stuff, and then dad, he was all over this stuff. You guys, well, I don't know if you guys have ever met him, but he's a psychic medium. He's clairvoyant and everything else. I mean, I grew up with him talking to the dead, so I kind of grew up a little odd. But whenever people come in with their kids, I always find it interesting when they try and shush their kid or something like that, because I'm like, what are you doing? Go ahead, let them open up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead. I've heard way weirder stuff. Go for it,
Let them talk.
Yeah.
Let them talk.
We've had a lot of negative entity issues here in Des Moines, and kids will come in and say, I've seen something in my closet. I'm like, okay. And everybody's surprised. I will sit down with them. I'll say, all right, this is how you shield. This is how you do this with your closet. Boom, 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 ... And then I will tell the parents, and they're like, you believe them? I'm like, okay, well, here it is. If you want to put the odds here, it's 50-50. But if that 50% is right, I'm going to feel terrible if something happens to this kid. So absolutely.
Well, at the very least, you've taught them how to shield themselves. Mm-hmm. And they can use that in the future.
Yeah. And I always feel bad because kids will come in and they're like, you know, my friend Mike Bells used to call it, I'm having a supernatural emergency. Help, you know, and the kids will be, and they don't have any place to go. And it's like, guys, even if it's only a 50-50 shot that the kid is, you know, that the kid is actually seeing something, you have to take the possibility that they're seeing something as serious. That's kind of your job as a parent.
Like Hally said, you got to trust it.
But you know, I grew up in a house that had 3 portals in it. Well, it still does.
Oh dear God.
Yeah, and I saw things all the time, and I'd end up in the bathroom because the bathroom, for whatever reason, was a safe space. And my mom would come in there night after night after night, and I would say, well, I saw this, or I saw this, and I would be bawling my eyeballs out, and she'd be like, you know what, will you just go back to bed? There's nothing there. Yeah. And she believed in ghosts. It wasn't that she didn't believe in this stuff, but she didn't believe that I was seeing shadows and bugs and, you know, all these creepy things with glowing red eyes underneath my bed, you know. And I ended up shutting off the site, which I've never been able to get back, you know, because of that.
But I don't blame you. The stuff is terrifying.
Oh, it's terrifying. Oh my gosh.
You know, hell, it's terrifying for me.
And, you know, people will say, well, it was because you watched, you know, scary movies, or no, I was very sheltered as a child. We did not watch TV. We were expected to play outside. We didn't hear scary stories. That was not my childhood, you know, and so there was no reference for me to go by.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, you know, what is the child being exposed to? You know, did they see something scary on TV and then they translated it to the closet? Or were they like me? They didn't see anything and they were honestly seeing stuff in the closet.
Yeah. And honestly, as a parent, you have to take it serious.
Right.
It is an actual danger, you know. Christina, my parents were both Catholic, but me and my sister never got baptized. And then, wow is correct. But no, even my dad, he would tell stories. His mom would take them to seances after she divorced his dad. And the ghosts, the spirits would never come around people. They would come to him when he was alone. Mm-hmm. His brother was terrified. Mm-hmm. Dad, he would actually open up a dialogue and he'd be like, okay, fine. If you're this, prove it to me. And he would write stuff down and then he would go to his school library and research it. Mm. His mom actually got a call going, your son is just amazingly smart. Oh my God, he's looking up this. And she's like, oh, it's his brother, right? It's Greg. And they're like, no, it's Jeff. She's like, what? Right?
Which one?
Greg was known as the more intellectual one, whereas Dad was more money making. Mm. And she's like, okay, Jeff, no, Jeff does not do this. You know, they're like, no, Jeff is doing this. And so she was big into the spiritual stuff. And so she sat down and had a talk with him. And she's like, oh, dear. Okay. You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Christina, interesting. Okay.
Just to let you know, we're running out of battery.
No, I was going to say, I'm about to pull the show to a close. Is there anything else you guys would like to tell people? And Ishika just, Ishika? I'm sorry, honey. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. She says, hey, for me too. Hey, girlie. Thanks for doing it. Now, you can watch, guys who came in late, you can watch this full episode on the Psychic Roundtable Spotify channel. Make sure to follow us. And you have to actually download the app so you can see the videos. Ishika, how's it going? Oh, it's going pretty good. We're about ready to wrap up, hon. Anything else you guys want to say?
I think the most, at least to me, the most important thing for anyone who thinks that they might be a starseed or star child is just accept the fact that you're perfectly normal. Nice. You're absolutely normal. You just have a genetic background, a history, a family history of a different kind of a race, a different civilization. It just doesn't happen to belong on Earth. but you're perfectly normal.
Yeah.
And you still have to live a human experience.
And there's many, many, many of us out there, and we all find each other.
And that's good to know too. So we'll all be drawn together, yes?
Yes.
Eventually, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
okay. Christina says, see y'all soon. Aishika says, can we ask a personal question on this live? Yes, go for it. One last one. Just one. Go ahead, darling. What would you like to ask? Because we only got a couple more minutes here. Their phone battery is pretty low. But I really appreciate you guys coming on. This has been awesome.
Hey, very well. Thank you for having us. Appreciate it. Love doing it.
Oh, we love having you guys on. By the way, while Ashika is thinking up her question, I'm going to be doing a thing on the care of psychic children.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Would you guys like to be a part of that discussion?
Sure. I'd love to.
All right. Okay, Ashika, do you see my internship at GROWW converting into a full-time job? One or both?
I have to be honest, I don't see it happening. Okay. But
as I say, there's problems with it. I don't know if it's institutionally or they're just not going to offer her. Yeah.
But something is waiting for her that's going to be an even better job.
Nice. Okay.
So she shouldn't worry. Shouldn't worry. That which the job she's looking for is not going to manifest, but there's something even better waiting for her once she gets that rejection, I guess you could call it.
Okay. Christina, that would be interesting to watch, the care of psychic kids. All right, well, awesome. I've got to talk to everybody who wants to be on it. Nico, you guys, I know Angel Lynn's going to want to have a voice on that one. And Aishika, thank you so much. Christina, I wish I knew you were all were taking questions. All right, Christina, one question, last one. Quick. What do you want? One last question. You got a past life reader and a crystal reader right here.
What were you guys talking about?
Yeah. Can you recap the show?
No, Christina came in late. She comes in on YouTube, and I'm not sure if she works late or what, but when she comes on, she tries to grab us and see what's going on. She follows Tuesday night talks and everything else. All right, Christina, you got like 2 minutes. What's going on? I've got my clock right here.
Timer's running.
Yep, meter's running. Because these two's phone's about to die. So
quickly too. Well, I tell you what, you got down under 20%, and
yeah, now it's super
fast. Can you see it too?
No, I can't. I can just see mine. But I'm on my desktop. I love my desktop. I actually got the same model both upstairs and downstairs for when I'm writing upstairs. Okay. Here we go. Christina, sorry, lol. Will my daughter finish college? Ooh, this is a good one.
Daughter's first name. She doesn't have a name.
I don't know. She's probably still typing. Anyways, so
I get the sense that there may be a little bit of a delay.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll skip a semester, but I do see her finishing college.
I see her finishing. It looks like maybe she might have to retake a class. Maybe she didn't do so well in the class. But yeah, she will graduate. It's just going to take a little bit longer.
Daughter's name is Bianca.
Bianca, yeah.
Pretty name.
It is pretty.
For some reason, I keep getting a math class. There's something about a math class. So,
Yeah, see, I got finance, but same thing as math.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's math.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, something about either she needs to redo it or she's having difficulty with it now and isn't going to pass it and have
Maybe
to
she has
do
to
it,
drop it or something.
drop
yeah.
it and come back another semester and take it. So, but I do see her graduating.
Tell her if she is taking a class right now that she, in the fall when she starts, because I think this is going to be the fall. There's going to be a class that she's struggling with. Tell her to drop it for now, to take it a little bit later because something's not clicking.
Okay. Thanks. She was named after my favorite movie as a kid, and she struggles in math.
Yeah.
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 Awesome. Well, thank you all lovely people for joining us. Hit us up for the weekly forecast on Sunday, Tuesday night talks, the gym talks, and another psychic roundtable this coming Thursday.
All right.
All right.
Thank you for having us on.
Thank you, guys. Mwah. I'll be messaging you about the psychic children.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
Take care
guys.
now.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, folks. Well, that was Doc Cromwell and Hally Crystals, and they are absolutely amazing and wonderful people for coming on and chit-chatting with us about all these. Hold on, Christina. Can't wait. Oh, thank you, Christina. You know, I love having you on here. For chatting with us about the Indigo Kids, Crystal Kids, Rainbow Kids, and then the Starseeds, Star People, Star Souls. I love you all, and mwah, I'll see you soon. Oh, quick update on the shop. We're still waiting on repairs. We're still waiting to hear about the tornado damage repair. So we're not quite open yet, but hopefully soon. So fingers crossed, positive energy. Love you all. Like and subscribe. If there's a topic that you want us to discuss in this area, let me know. Message me. Just let me know. All right. Oh, and follow us on the Psychic Roundtable Spotify channel and the Des Moines New Age radio channel. Thanks, guys. Mwah. Love you all. Now I got to go and do the closing. And boop.